The Montreal Canadiens are trading defenseman Logan Mayu to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for forward Zach Bolduc. The 22-year-old Mayu was selected 31st overall in 2021, 2 goals, 4 points in 7 games with the Habs last season. Bolduc, though, 19 goals in 72 games last season with the Blues. When this trade was announced on Trade Center Tuesday, I said to myself, I can't wait to talk to Frankie Corrado about this because Frankie, of course, has been calling games with our friend Brian Mudryk for the Montreal Canadiens all season. So what was your reaction when you first heard about the deal?
Love this trade. Love this trade for Montreal. And that's not a slight to Logan Mayu because he's a good player and has a very bright future ahead of him as a member of the St. Louis Blues. But this was a position of strength for the Montreal Canadiens. They had a logjam on defense, and obviously they think very highly of David Reinbacher because they're probably going to give him the opportunity before Logan Mayu. So what do? You make a trade, and now you bring in a forward who's an exciting, not call him prospect anymore, like an established young NHL forward who this year, once Jim Montgomery took over, like his offensive production really skyrocketed with that team. Was top 5 in rookie points from that point onward, and is a good two-way player who's really just scratching the surface as far as what he's going to be at the NHL level. The other thing I like about it is that it fits the age demographic in Montreal. For sure. Like Montreal didn't go out today and say, we made the playoffs last year, and now we're just going to spend money just to do it, just to, out of desperation to keep ourselves right in that arena. They said, no, we're going to make a smart, calculated decision to make a trade for a young player who's going to grow with our group, and they didn't spend money just to spend money. So it was it's a little more of an aggressive approach, I would say, because you traded for Dobson, you traded for Zachary Bolduc, but there still is an element of patience to it, which I think is really important for the Montreal Canadiens.
Man, great work by Gorton and Hughes getting Dobson, getting this kid. It's going to be unbelievable. Mikael Granlund's still making money, Frankie. He's making lots of money. Granlund's going to the Anaheim Ducks. It's 3 years, $7 million on the AAV, 60-plus points 3 of the last 4 years. He's entering his 14th NHL season. Anaheim will be his 6th different team. One of the best available defensemen off the board, Vladislav Gavrikov, going to the Rangers. It's 7 years. It's $7 million on the AAV. He definitely left money on the table. Definitely wanted to play in the Big Apple. 30 points, plus 26 in 82 games with the Kings last season. The Hurricanes then acquired Rangers defenseman K'Andre Miller for a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and defenseman Scott Morrow. Miller was a restricted free agent. He then signed a 8-year, $60 million extension with Carolina, $7.5 million on the AAV for K'Andre Miller. The Flyers added forward Christian Dvorak to a 1-year deal worth $5.4 million. The team also signed goaltender Dan Vladar to a 2-year, $6.7 million deal. The 27-year-old Vladar posted 2 shutouts in 30 games with the Calgary Flames last season. And the Carolina Hurricanes signed Logan Stankoven to an 8-year, $48 million contract extension. The 22-year-old was the key piece acquired by the Hurricanes in the Mikko Rantanen trade this past season. Stankoven, 38 points in 78 games last season, split between the Stars and Hurricanes. Future very bright for him. Jake Allen, this one was wild. 5 years and AAV of $1.8 million with the Devils. He returns to New Jersey, the highest-ranked goalie on the free agent frenzy board. Definitely left a little money on the table too, but got that term. The Jets are signing Tanner Pearson to a 1-year deal for $1 million. Pearson coming off a season with the Vegas Golden Knights where he scored 12 goals and 15 assists in 78 games. And the Ottawa Senators signed Lars Eller to a 1-year deal worth $1.25 million. The veteran with a 51% face-off rate last year, making him a perfect fit for Ottawa's need at center. And then there's Nick Ehlers, who, maybe did his time. He's playing golf. Taking his time. Yeah, that's right. They said he's playing golf in Denmark, just sort of chilling. Yeah. And in a way, we're grateful because hopefully, it takes a few more days. We can chat about this a little bit more. I want to be very sensitive here. There's nothing saying he might not change his mind and return to Winnipeg after seeing what's out there. But if that weren't to happen and he were to join a different team, who do you see as a good fit for Ehlers? Well,
we were talking about this, and the Carolina Hurricanes were one of the names that popped up for Nick Ehlers. And, it's interesting because you try and fit players that might play the way that team plays. And Nick Ehlers doesn't really play the way the Carolina Hurricanes play. but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they just need someone who does something a little bit different. You know, Nick Ehlers is a little bit of a self-starter in a way. Like, he does things one-on-one. He backs defensemen off. He finds ways to generate offense off the rush. That's not really what Carolina does, but at the same time, maybe they need a little bit of a layer of that. And so Nick Ehlers would bring that to the table. And, you know, I still think I would like to see him back with the Winnipeg Jets because of what they've built and, you know, how much he brings to that second line. And it would be a void that would be missing there without Nikolaj Ehlers. But I think with that Carolina that always pops up, it's like, okay, well, what do you do in that situation? Do you try and bring in someone who's a little bit different, or do you avoid someone who does something a little bit different because it doesn't necessarily fit how the team normally operates?
We will monitor that situation over the next few days, but who do you view as the big winner of this offseason so far?
I mean, it's so early and it's tough to say. The Los Angeles Kings did some interesting things for sure.
Boy, did they ever.
Yeah, they had money to spend, and I guess they spent it, but not on Mitch Marner, right? Like, they didn't get Mitch Marner, so what'd they do? Well, they tried to make their team, I guess, harder to play against, right? So I'm not saying they're a winner. Ultimately, the biggest winner has to be considered the Vegas Golden Knights.
Right.
And the Florida Panthers, sure. Like, those moves didn't really happen today, per se, but, you know, Vegas getting Mitch Marner, it's not every day that you can add a player like that. Say what you want about his lack of playoff performance in the big moments. Maybe that changes going to a situation like Vegas, but, you know, how do you compete with what the Florida Panthers did? They brought everyone back. The band is back together, and now if you look at the Eastern Conference, you're like, not only is Florida back, I don't know if you can honestly say that anyone took tangible steps to really catch them or close the gap. It's them and the rest of the Eastern Conference right now. So I guess those are my two big winners. It's Florida and it's Vegas, and an interesting day for the Los Angeles Kings. and not in a bad way. Like, they made their decor much bigger.
Yeah.
Like, last year they went out and they got Joel Edmondson. This year they got Brian Dumoulin, they got Cody Ceci, and you know, Spence is on the way out. What does that mean for Brent Clark's ice time? Like, they just tried to make themselves harder to play against. So, you know, when the chips are down, I guess they have a better chance of getting through a team like Edmonton. They just at times weren't that hard to play against.
Oh, and not to mention the fact that they have one of Edmonton's key pieces from the Cup last year, and a veteran in Corey Perry. This was fun, Frankie. Thanks for this.